Listen carefully. Slow your breathing. Let every word arrive without force. This message did not reach you by accident. Archangel Michael says that before you pressed play, something had already shifted. Today, your name was mentioned. Not casually, not out of habit, but with intention. You may not know where it happened. You may not know who spoke it, but you felt the echo of it. That quiet pause in your thoughts. That moment where your chest felt heavier, yet calm. That was not random. Archangel Michael says your name surfaced today because a situation reached its limit. Something could no longer move forward without acknowledging you. For a long time, you stayed patient. You stayed silent when you could have reacted. You held your ground when it would have been easier to walk away loudly. And because of that, your energy changed. Your name now carries weight it did not carry before. There was a time when people spoke your name without thought, without care, without respect. That time has passed. Today, when your name was mentioned, it altered the tone of the conversation. It slowed things down. It caused hesitation. It forced awareness. Someone realized that the version of you they remembered no longer exists. Archangel Michael says this is why you have felt different recently. More grounded, less reactive, more aware of what you will and will not accept. You were not becoming distant. You were becoming aligned. When your name was spoken today, it was not about admiration. It was about recognition. Someone understood that you are no longer in a position to be overlooked, that you are no longer available for the role they assigned you in the past. This realization did not come gently to them. Your silence has done what explanations never could. Your consistency has done what effort never achieved. Archangel Michael says you were protected during the period when you felt invisible. You were kept away from noise, kept away from premature attention. Because if your name had been mentioned earlier, you would have been pulled into something you were not meant to carry. So you waited, not idly, but intentionally. And now, without you speaking a word, your name is entering spaces you have never walked into. This is not coincidence. This is timing. Do not rush to act after hearing this. Do not announce anything. Do not seek confirmation. What is meant for you has already begun moving. In the next part, Archangel Michael reveals why the person who mentioned your name had no choice, and what started shifting the moment they spoke it. Stay with this flow. This message is unfolding exactly as it should. Listen closely now. This part goes deeper. When your name was mentioned today, it was not planned. It surfaced naturally, almost reluctantly. Archangel Michael says the person who spoke your name did not intend to give you power. But truth has a way of emerging when pressure builds. There was hesitation before your name was said. A pause. A moment of reconsideration. That pause matters. Because it means your name carries consequence now. Someone realized that mentioning you changes things. It brings accountability. It invites clarity. It removes comfort. This is why your name was avoided for so long. Archangel Michael says the mention happened because avoidance stopped working. Because pretending you did not exist became impossible. You may have noticed this pattern before. People speaking around you, not to you, about you. That is where influence begins. Your growth did not announce itself. It showed up quietly, in your boundaries, in your restraint, in what you no longer tolerate. And today, That growth was acknowledged out loud. Not celebrated. Acknowledged. There is a difference. Recognition comes before acceptance. And acceptance often comes later. Archangel Michael says when your name was spoken, it changed the direction of thought. Someone had to adjust their expectations. Someone had to rethink their position. Not because you demanded it, but because reality demanded it. This is why you have felt a strange calm recently. Not excitement. Not anxiety. Clarity. You stopped chasing validation. And that made your presence heavier. Someone today realized that you are no longer available for manipulation. No longer responsive to old patterns. No longer fitting into the space they prepared for you. That realization creates discomfort. And discomfort forces honesty. Archangel Michael says this is the moment when unseen shifts become visible. Not all at once, but gradually. Pay attention to subtle changes. A different tone. A delayed response. A sudden openness. These are not coincidences. They are adjustments. You are not required to respond to them. You are not required to interpret them. Your role remains the same. Stay grounded. Stay observant. Stay unchanged. Because when your name is mentioned without your presence, it means your influence no longer depends on proximity. In the next part, Archangel Michael reveals is the moment when unseen shifts become visible. Not all at once, but gradually. Pay attention to subtle changes. A different tone. A delayed response. A sudden openness. These are not coincidences. They are adjustments. You are not required to respond to them. You are not required to interpret them. Your role remains the same. Stay grounded. Stay observant. Stay unchanged. Because when your name is mentioned without your presence, it means your influence no longer depends on proximity. In the next part, Archangel Michael reveals what decision began forming immediately after your name was spoken, and why it cannot return to its previous state. Remain here. This message is still unfolding. Stay with me. This part changes the perspective. After your name was mentioned, silence followed. Not agreement. Silence. Archangel Michael says this silence was not empty. It was processing. Someone needed time to understand what your presence now represents. Not who you were, but who you have become. There was a moment where the conversation slowed down, where words became careful, where assumptions stopped being spoken freely. That moment matters, because it means your name no longer fits into old narratives. Archangel Michael says when your name was spoken, it forced honesty. Not emotional honesty, structural honesty. Someone had to admit, internally, that things are no longer the same. You are no longer predictable, no longer available for convenience, no longer positioned where others can decide for you. This realization does not arrive loudly. It settles quietly. That is why you may feel a subtle distance forming. Not separation. Recalibration. People are adjusting to the version of you that does not explain itself anymore. Archangel Michael says this adjustment phase can feel confusing to observe. You may notice people watching more than speaking, pausing before responding, choosing words with care. This is not hesitation toward you. It is respect forming. And respect changes dynamics. Someone understood today that you no longer respond to pressure. You respond to alignment. That understanding creates a shift in how decisions are made around you. You may feel less urgency lately, less need to prove, less attachment to outcomes. That is because your position has stabilized internally. Archangel Michael says when your name was mentioned today, it did not start movement outside first. It confirmed movement within you. You reached a point where you stopped negotiating your worth, and that internal shift echoed outward. You do not need to act on this information. You do not need to prepare for anything. What is unfolding does not require effort. It requires presence. Stay observant. Stay calm. Stay exactly as you are. Because in the next part, Archangel Michael reveals what changed permanently after your name was spoken, and why returning to the old way is no longer possible. Remain here. The flow continues. Stay present. This part brings clarity. After your name was spoken, something subtle but firm settled into place. Not excitement. Not resistance. Acceptance. Archangel Michael says this acceptance did not come from agreement. It came from realization. Someone understood that the dynamic they were comfortable with no longer exists, that the balance they relied on has shifted. This is why things may feel quieter around you now. Not distant, just adjusted. When people recognize a change they cannot reverse, they grow careful. They observe before they act. Archangel Michael says this is the phase where old expectations dissolve. Not dramatically, naturally. You may notice fewer demands placed on you, fewer assumptions made, more space given. This is not withdrawal. It is recalibration. Your name now signals presence, not availability. That distinction matters. Someone realized today that involving you means respecting your boundaries, that you are no longer an option to be managed. This understanding reshapes decisions. You do not need to reinforce it. You do not need to explain it. Your consistency has already done the work. Archangel Michael says what changed permanently is not external circumstances first. It is perception. Once perception shifts, behavior follows. This is why you may sense a calm confidence settling in you. Not pride. Stability. You are no longer waiting for outcomes. You are steady regardless of them. This steadiness is what others are responding to. If you feel less reactive lately, that is intentional. You are no longer pulled by uncertainty. Archangel Michael says when your name was mentioned today, it closed a chapter quietly, without confrontation, without announcement. And quiet endings often create the strongest beginnings. Remain grounded. Remain observant. Because in the next part, Archangel Michael reveals what begins to align after acceptance takes place, and how this alignment unfolds without force. Stay here. The message is still moving forward. Stay calm. This part shows what begins to move. After acceptance settled, alignment followed. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but steadily. Archangel Michael says alignment does not announce itself. It reveals itself through ease. Things that once felt heavy now feel neutral. Situations that required effort no longer ask for it. This is not luck. This is positioning. When your name was mentioned today, it marked the moment where resistance stopped shaping outcomes around you. People are no longer deciding for you. They are adjusting to you. That distinction changes everything. Archangel Michael says alignment begins when you stop trying to be understood and start being consistent. You have been consistent in your values, in your boundaries, in your silence. That consistency made your presence reliable, and reliability creates trust. Someone today recognized that working around you requires clarity, not control, not pressure. This recognition reshapes how paths form. You may notice things unfolding without effort now. A conversation flows easily. A decision resolves itself. A delay disappears quietly. These are not coincidences. They are signs of alignment. Archangel Michael says alignment feels calm because it does not need correction. You are no longer correcting misunderstandings. You are no longer proving intentions. Your position speaks before you do. This is why your energy feels lighter, even if your responsibilities remain the same. You are no longer carrying resistance. Pay attention to what feels natural now, what no longer requires justification, what no longer drains you. That is where alignment is active. You do not need to chase these shifts. You do not need to analyze them. Your role remains unchanged. Stay present. Stay steady. Because in the next part, Archangel Michael reveals what begins to return to you once alignment is established, and why it arrives without effort. Remain here. The flow continues exactly as it should. Stay here. This part completes the circle. After alignment settles, something begins to return. Not what you chased, but what belongs. Archangel Michael says what returns now does not arrive loudly. It comes through recognition, through invitation, through space being made. You may notice people reaching out differently, not with demands, with clarity. This is not reconciliation. It is respect finding its place. When your name was mentioned today, it reopened a path that had paused, not ended. A path that could only continue once you stood fully in yourself. What returns now is balance. The ability to move without resistance. To choose without pressure. Archangel Michael says this phase feels quieter because nothing needs to be proven anymore. You may feel less attachment to outcomes, less concern about timing. That is because what is returning is already aligned. You are no longer meeting things halfway. They are meeting you where you stand. Notice how your presence changes rooms now, not through words. Through steadiness. This is influence without effort. What returns may not look like what you imagined, but it will feel familiar, because it matches who you are now. Archangel Michael says when your name was mentioned today, it confirmed readiness. Not theirs, yours. You reached a point where receiving no longer requires preparation. Remain open. Not expectant, present, not attached. Because what completes the circle does not need anticipation. It arrives naturally. Stay grounded. Stay calm. This message has reached its place. What follows will unfold in real time, without force, without noise, and without explanation. Stay with this moment. This part brings integration. After what returned found its place, something within you settled. Not relief. Recognition. Archangel Michael says recognition is the quiet knowing that you are no longer becoming. You are being. There is a difference. You may feel less need to interpret signs now. Less need to look ahead or behind. Your awareness has moved into the present. This is stability. When your name was mentioned today, it did not just affect conversations elsewhere. It aligned something within you that was already ready. You are no longer adjusting to change. You are moving with it. Archangel Michael says this is the phase where trust becomes natural. Not trust in outcomes. Trust in your position. You no longer question whether you belong in certain spaces. You sense it without effort. This internal alignment is what others feel when they interact with you now. A calm certainty. A grounded presence. Nothing needs to be emphasized. Nothing needs to be defended. You may notice that situations resolve themselves around you, not because you intervene, but because your presence brings clarity. This is influence through being. Archangel Michael says integration feels quiet because it is complete. There is nothing missing that needs to be filled. You are no longer waiting for permission. You are no longer seeking confirmation. You're stay still. This part brings closure without ending. After integration settles, life continues, but differently. Archangel Michael says continuity does not feel dramatic. It feels steady, predictable in the best way. You may notice that moments no longer pull you off balance. What once triggered reaction now passes without weight. This is not numbness. This is grounding. When your name was mentioned today, it marked the point where movement no longer needed direction. It simply continued. You are no longer anticipating change. You are living within it. Archangel Michael says this is why peace feels ordinary now. Not exciting. Reliable. This reliability is strength. You may feel less need to narrate your life to others. Less need to explain choices. Your actions align naturally with your values. That alignment removes friction. Situations that no longer match you fall away quietly. Not through conflict. Through irrelevance. What remains feels supportive. Not demanding. Archangel Michael says closure is not an ending. It is the absence of resistance. You are not closing doors. You are walking forward without looking back. Nothing is being taken from you. Nothing is being promised. What exists now is enough. Remain present in this steadiness. Allow it to continue without interference. Because the most powerful phase is not the moment of change, but the life that follows it. Stay grounded. The flow is complete. Remain here. This part affirms continuity. Nothing new needs to arrive for this moment to be complete. What exists is sufficient. Archangel Michael says completion does not announce itself with change. It reveals itself through steadiness. You may notice that your thoughts move slower now. Not because of hesitation. Because there is no rush. When your name was mentioned today, it did not create motion. It acknowledged motion that was already in progress. You were already aligned, already present, already steady. This understanding settles quietly, without demand, without expectation. You are no longer seeking meaning. You are living it. Archangel Michael says this is the point where trust becomes effortless. Not trust in outcomes. Trust in self. You move without questioning your direction. You pause without fearing delay. This is grounded awareness. Nothing needs to be corrected. Nothing needs to be accelerated. Allow this steadiness to remain. Because what follows from here is not another message. It is life unfolding at its own pace. Stay present. Stay calm. This flow does not end. It continues naturally.